Well, judgment in the case involving Presidents Jacob Zuma and Cyril Ramaphosa will be handed down today. Ramaphosa is seeking to interdict Zuma's private prosecution application against him. Let's head over to eNCA reporter Moloko Moloto as well. It's all got to do with infringing on the rights of the current president by the former president, Moloko. So we don't have all that much time with you. I know court getting underway 9:30. Just bring us up to speed. What are we looking out for today?
Well, indeed, that is the argument by the incumbent President Cyril Ramaphosa, who believes that his rights would be infringed upon if his predecessor, Jacob Zuma, is allowed to continue with private criminal prosecution of him. You would recall that the matter is before, or is scheduled to be before, the High Court here in Johannesburg on the 19th of January. It would be on Thursday. In that matter, Jacob Zuma wants to privately prosecute the president, accusing him of what they call accessory, being an accessory after the fact. Essentially, this is about the former president Jacob Zuma having written a letter to the incumbent President Cyril Ramaphosa asking him to institute an inquiry against the senior prosecutor, Advocate Billy Downer, SC. It is because Mr. Zuma tried but could not succeed in convincing the NPA to prosecute Billy Downer as well as journalist Karen Mon. Mr. Zuma accused Downer of leaking his medical certificate to journalist Karen Mon. So, because of that, he wanted the president to institute an inquiry against the senior prosecutor. So the president did not do that. Instead, he says he took the matter, or referred the matter, to the Minister of Justice to handle it. But Mr. Zuma now believes that by not acting on his request or demand in that letter to institute the inquiry against Billy Downer, the president acted criminally. Now, why are we here today? We are here because on Thursday in the South Gauteng High Court, there were arguments between the lawyers of the president and the lawyers of Mr. Jacob Zuma, because the president approached this court on urgent basis, making an application asking this court to stop the prosecution, the private prosecution by Mr. Zuma. As I said, it is meant to go ahead on Thursday. The president is saying if Mr. Zuma is allowed, so much is going to happen. His image will be damaged irreparably, and he's also saying it will affect the country because he is the sitting head of state. So much is going to happen, and he believes that if Mr. Zuma is stopped, there must be an opportunity to now ventilate the validity of the so-called non-prosecution certificate issued by the NPA, which said it is not willing to prosecute anyone regarding the alleged leaking of that medical certificate. It is what Mr. Zuma relied on to then pursue the president. But the president is saying, I was not part of the people who allegedly leaked that particular medical certificate. He says, I was not even aware of such a matter until a letter was written to him as the president by Mr. Zuma complaining. Now, he is saying that if Mr. Zuma is allowed to proceed, the step-aside rule, that ANC rule which says that any member or leader of the ANC who is criminally charged must then step aside. The president says he will then be negatively affected by that. On the other hand, Mr. Zuma is saying, anyway, you've been charged because a summons has been issued by this very same High Court charging you and telling you to appear in court on the 19th of January. The horse has bolted. Now the arguments were ventilated here in court. Today we are expecting to hear whether the High Court or the three judges, a full panel of judges, would rule in favor of Mr. Zuma or in favor of the President Cyril Ramaphosa. We're expecting that to take place from 9:30.
And we'll be looking forward to your updates as well. eNCA reporter Moloko Moloto explaining very nicely what is at play for today. He's on the steps of the courthouse from 9:30. We'll take you inside the courtroom.